Has it ever struck you as odd that the wealthiest people in the world don't seem to be flaunting their success quite as much these days? I mean, sure, they might have sleek sports cars and epic mansions, hidden behind golden gates, of course. But lately, it's like they're pulling back from the spotlight. Why? And more importantly, how? Well, listen, you're not crazy. The truth is, the upper class is pulling away, and they're doing it quietly. No flexing, no gold chains, just stealth wealth, private jets you'll never see, and portfolios that grow while they nap. This video won't be like the others, because today I plan to reveal exactly why the top tier seems to be quietly inching away from the rest of us, year after year. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, the rich have always had an advantage. Yet we're currently seeing a whole new level of disparity. And it's not just about bigger yachts anymore. It's about entire systems that literally keep them ahead while we're still stuck in the slow lane, tapping our steering wheels and praying we don't get a flat tire. They're not broadcasting this from the rooftops. No, they're quietly, almost stealthily creating distance. And trust me, it's more than private jets and gold-plated golf clubs. In the next 11 facts, and by facts I mean the shocking truths that might actually make you do a double take, you'll see how the upper class is cementing their position and why it seems like they're slipping through our fingers faster than your morning latte budget. So without wasting any time at all, let's break it down. 11. They treat education as a lifelong investment. Look, if you've ever sat in your high school economics class and wondered why they didn't teach you anything practical about taxes, credit scores, or investing, get in line. The upper class doesn't rely on public education to teach their kids about money. They're raised on dinner table chats about portfolio diversification and how to spot the next big market trend before it hits. Financial literacy is like having X-ray vision in the world of money. You see through the clutter, the flashy advertisements, and the hype to recognize what's truly lucrative. It's not just about memorizing the difference between a Roth IRA and a 401k. It's about understanding how the financial system operates at every level, where to place your money, when to pivot, and how to leverage debt as a tool rather than a burden. And don't worry, I'll show you how to rig the system with real examples, so bear with me. Just imagine two families, one from the middle class, one from the upper class. The middle class family might tell their kids, work hard in school, get a solid degree, and land a good job. The upper class family, on the other hand, might say, work hard, invest early, and diversify your income streams. See the difference? One is groomed to be a high-earning employee, while the other is being conditioned to understand money as a means to make more money. The quiet pulling away happens when these mindsets finally materialize into real-world outcomes. One group keeps their job security tight, the other invests in opportunities, takes calculated risks, and continues building wealth generation after generation. Forget the college degree. The wealthy believe in financial education, mentorship, and self-development. They read books, take courses, hire coaches, attend events. While the rest of us binge Netflix, they binge knowledge. And this knowledge, it compounds, just like their money. A guy like Warren Buffett still reads 500 pages a day. If a billionaire finds time for books, you probably have time to skip one TikTok scroll. But pay attention, because next, we're cracking open the world of elite networks and the secret invitation-only social circles that keep the upper class in a league of their own. 10. Elite networks and social circles. This is a rule you need to understand. It says your network is your net worth, and nowhere is this truer than in the world of the uber wealthy. You don't just happen to meet a billionaire at your local coffee shop. If you do, you're either really lucky or that billionaire has a secret addiction to vanilla lattes. For most wealthy elites, connections are cultivated in exclusive clubs, posh conferences, or alumni events at Ivy League schools. The power of connections. It's these connections that open doors to insider knowledge and golden opportunities long before the general public hears so much as a whisper. You know that hush-hush investment in the new tech startup? The top 1% has been in on it since the founder sketched the idea on a napkin. The network effect. Ever wonder why the same families or small groups seem to dominate entire industries for decades? One reason, they use their networks strategically. High-level CEOs from different companies serve on each other's boards, share intelligence, and swap resources like baseball cards, ensuring they stay miles ahead of the average Joe or Jane. Why does this matter? At first glance, it might seem like a high society soap opera, rich people gathering in fancy rooms. But these gatherings have real-world consequences. Deals are made, partnerships are forged, and entire industries can shift directions based on the handshake that happened next to the punch bowl. This quiet pulling away is reinforced by the fact that these networks are, more often than not, closed off to outsiders. You can't crash a $10,000 a plate fundraiser if you're sweating over this month's electric bill. By the way, if you're still watching at this point, I just want to say that our Stealth Wealth series is committed to providing the financial life of abundance you deserve instead of the life most people only dream about. After this video, go back and watch our Financial Freedom playlist to fully understand, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. 9. The upper class buys assets, not liabilities. The second and more important point comes down to the golden rule of the wealthy. They buy assets that make them money, not liabilities that drain it. While most people spend their money on fancy cars, name brand clothes, and the latest iPhone, which they'll finance, of course, the wealthy are out here buying real estate, dividend stocks, and businesses. Assets equals freedom. Liabilities equals broke with style. Here's a real-life example. You buy a $70,000 Tesla, and it drops in value the second you leave the lot. The wealthy? They'll invest $70,000 into a rental property that spits out $1,000 a month in cash flow and appreciates over time. So how do they even afford these assets in the first place? That leads us to this next point. And trust me, it's sneaky. 8. They use debt differently, like Jedi level differently. The average person fears debt like it's a horror movie. The wealthy, they treat debt like a business partner. But how do you do this? Well, let's start small and then gradually level up. Basically, the rich use good debt, low-interest loans to buy income-generating assets. Think mortgages on rental properties or business loans. Meanwhile, the middle class racks up bad debt on credit cards, buying things that lose value and never pay them back. It's not that they avoid debt, it's that they weaponize it. Think of it like this. If debt is fire, the middle class burns themselves with it. The rich use it to cook a gourmet meal. But having access to smart debt isn't just luck, it comes from something deeper. And that brings us to the next game changer. 7. They understand the system because they built it. All right, look, I need to address something real quick, so pay attention. If I'm being completely honest, the wealthy didn't just learn the rules of the game. They wrote the playbook. They understand how money actually works, not how we're taught it works. While most people are stuck learning how to write 5-paragraph essays and memorize the periodic table, the upper class is learning how to leverage tax codes, optimize cash flow, and multiply wealth. And here's the kicker. The system we all live in, it's not broken. It's working exactly as designed. Designed by people who already had wealth. Designed to protect that wealth. And designed to make it really, really hard for anyone outside the club to catch up. Tax codes, full of legal cheat codes that favor business owners, investors, and people who know how to move their money like chess pieces. Meanwhile, employees get taxed first and ask questions later. Education system, built during the Industrial Revolution to train obedient workers, not free thinkers. You were taught to be on time, follow instructions, and maybe climb a corporate ladder, but no one told you how to build one of your own. Financial institutions, banks literally reward the rich with better interest rates and exclusive access, while charging overdraft fees to people living paycheck to paycheck. The system isn't evil, it's just indifferent. It rewards understanding and punishes ignorance. Here's a twist. Ever wonder why billionaires pay less in taxes than their secretaries? It's not some shady loophole. They're just playing a different game. They earn money through investments, which get taxed less than earned income. They borrow against their assets instead of selling them, so they avoid capital gains taxes. And they use trusts, depreciation, and corporate structures to legally keep more of their money. Bottom line, the system favors those who study it, leverage it, and play it like a master. Speaking of hard work, let's debunk a myth that's been drilled into our heads since grade school. 6. They don't trade time for money. Work hard and you'll be rich. Yeah, if that were true, every construction worker and nurse would be driving a Lamborghini. The upper class knows the real cheat code. Stop trading hours for dollars. They build systems. They earn passive income. They invest in things that make money while they sleep, vacation, or play golf for 6 hours on a Tuesday. Here's an easy analogy. You're working the grill. They own the restaurant. Now, how do they find those money-making machines that pay them 24/7? Here's the secret sauce. 5. They invest early, often, and aggressively. Compound interest is not just math. It's financial time travel. The rich start early, reinvest profits, and stay consistent. They don't panic sell. They don't YOLO into crypto trends. They think long-term, like chess grandmasters. Take this example. If a 25-year-old invests $500 a month into index funds, by 65, they'll have over $1 million, even with average market returns. That's not magic. It's time plus discipline. Now let's talk about the difference that really matters, because this next one isn't just about money. It's about mindset. 4. They play offense, not defense. Pay attention to this now. Most people are just trying not to lose money. The wealthy, they're laser focused on how to make more. They don't just budget, they build. They don't just save 10%, they figure out how to earn 10 times more. They're not asking, how can I afford this? They're asking, how can I build something that pays for this? So while you're clipping coupons, someone else is negotiating a business deal to double their income. And how do they even have time for all this wealth building? That's the next secret. 3. They buy back their time. If there's one piece of advice I want you to take from this video, it's this. The rich understand something critical. Time is the ultimate flex. While most people are stuck in the cycle of doing everything themselves, the upper class knows their time is too valuable to be wasted mowing the lawn, doing their taxes, or scrubbing the bathtub. They hire out what doesn't move the needle and focus on the few things that do. But it's not about being lazy. It's about being strategic. If you make $100 an hour doing what you do best, and you spend 3 hours cleaning the house instead of hiring help for $75, you just lost $225 in opportunity cost. The wealthy see time as a currency more precious than cash, and they treat it accordingly. They don't just outsource, they optimize. Virtual assistants handle emails, accountants handle taxes, house managers handle everything else. They build systems and hire teams so they can stay in their zone of genius, whether that's closing deals, building businesses, or just thinking bigger. So how exactly do you build a team? Let me give you a real-world perspective so you can fully understand. A top entrepreneur once said, "I don't mow my lawn, not because I can't, but because I'd rather use that hour to make $10,000. That's not arrogance, it's efficiency. And if you're thinking, well, I can't afford to outsource anything, start small. Use grocery delivery apps, automate bill payments. Even freeing up just 30 minutes a day adds up to 180 hours a year. That's time you could use to learn a high-income skill, build a side hustle, or finally write that ebook you've been talking about for 3 years. This is how the upper class scales. They multiply their hours, not by working 100-hour weeks, but by building a life that doesn't depend on them being everywhere, doing everything. Bottom line, it goes like this. You're busy doing chores. They're busy closing deals. You're in the weeds. They're flying at 30,000 feet. But wait, how do they stay so calm while juggling all of this? The answer lies in what they don't do. 2. They avoid lifestyle inflation like the plague. Now, before I explain more, you might picture a wealthy person's lifestyle as yacht parties and black tie galas. But in reality, it's not always that flashy. Many of the truly wealthy are adopting a quiet approach, living in gated communities, sending their kids to exclusive schools, and socializing primarily within their own socio-economic bubble. Over time, this creates a culture that feels almost entirely separate from what 99% of the population experiences. Imagine growing up in an environment where everyone around you travels by private plane. You'd start to see that as normal. Then consider how alienating it can be to interact with someone who finds a budget airline ticket to be a major expense. The chasm in worldview expands, making it easier for the upper class to quietly distance themselves from broader societal issues, like underfunded schools or healthcare costs. Here's the plot twist. Most truly wealthy people live below their means. Not the influencers flexing Lambos, they're probably leasing that. The real rich, they wear plain clothes, drive regular cars, and keep their wealth quiet. They don't fall into the trap of spending more as they earn more. Instead, they invest the gap. Now here's a true story. Mark Zuckerberg drives a Honda. Meanwhile, your neighbor with a BMW is one missed paycheck from financial collapse. And finally, the master key, the move that separates the wealthy from everyone else. 1. They own equity. The rich don't just earn income, they own things, businesses, real estate, stocks, things that grow in value even while they sleep. You can't save your way to wealth, you need equity. If you're working a job, you're building someone else's dream. The wealthy build their own, and they get paid when it grows. Income is nice, equity is generational. Bottom line, the upper class isn't pulling away by luck. They're not just working harder, they're working smarter, earlier, and differently. And the best part, these secrets aren't locked behind a gated mansion. They're right here, in front of you. Start small. Buy your first asset. Learn the rules of the game. Build something that pays you back. You don't need to be born rich to live rich. Stay sharp, stay bold. And don't just play the game, own the board. The only question I have now is, which of these things are you going to start doing today? Let me know in the comments. As a matter of fact, the upper class isn't just pulling away from you. They're actually practicing a set of tiny habits they literally every single day. Just click the video on the screen here and we'll break it down step by step.